Good afternoon, Mr. President.
Good afternoon.
This is on the point of energy security and mutual support among member states.
Yes.
Did the Philippines get new supply commitments from our ASEAN neighbors?
Did we get new?
Supply commitments? And if so, how firm and dependable are these commitments, given that our neighbors are facing the same crisis and they will naturally prioritize their own interests?
Well, actually, we did not talk about supply. Not here. You know why? Because we already have been discussing this for the past, few months, 3 months. The arrangements for supply, for fuel supply, have already been made with not only member states, but the states outside of ASEAN. And so this is not something that needed to be put together any longer, because our supply lines were immediately established. I mean, the war started in February 28. February, by the next day, this government, at least, was already in contact with all our suppliers, and beyond that, we were also looking for other suppliers, what we can refer to as non-traditional suppliers, all the way out to Africa, to Latin America, who before we did not really get a supply from. So no, it wasn't discussed because we have already made. They are essentially bilateral arrangements. The one thing that we talked about that was that concerned fuel supply was a fuel reserve. That to put together a fuel reserve is something like the emergency rice reserve. That came up too because we talked about food. So to increase the rice emergency rice reserve that we share with one another when there is a crisis, and enlarge that, but also the oil products or different oil products reserve, because the situation right now is very different from each country. Some countries have a surplus of a certain kind of fuel. Other people have shortage, and we're trying to balance that out. But beyond that is the reserve, so that we have something in reserve. And when something like this happens, a war happens, a trade route like the Strait of Hormuz is closed, and with all the attendant effects, we have somewhere to immediately run to for emergency supply. That's more what we discussed, rather than arrangements to, it's left to individual countries to make their own arrangements on how to gain supply, because we are all in a different situation. Like for example, in the Philippines, the number one important fuel is diesel. But other countries, what they are struggling with is jet fuel. With other countries, it's gasoline. With other countries, it's gas. So we're trying to even out those differences between countries. So we are making our own arrangements, but at the same time, we are coming together and promoting and developing the idea that we will have a fuel reserve, all the kinds of fuels, all the different kinds of fuels, crude oil, all the way to jet fuel, all the way to the most refined fuel. And to have, so that when such a thing happens again, if it ever, hopefully it will never happen again, but you never know. And should such a thing happen again, then there is a reserve that we can all avail of.